Are you ready to learn to get rid of stress in your life? To learn how to deal with the emotional turmoil that causes strokes, heart attacks, bad health, and even weight gain? Life-changing habits for work, family, and everyone you deal with start here with Andrew Whitman. It's time to get warrior tough. Here's Andrew Whitman and Dutch Coleman.
All right, it's time to get warrior tough, the most monumental hour in media anywhere. We're your leadership and mental toughness coaches, Andrew Whitman and the Dutch Coleman.
What's happening, everybody? Hope you had a great week so far.
Yeah, man. How's the weather up there? You're in like the Poconos or something, aren't you?
It's pretty good, man. I tell you what, by Pennsylvania standards, it's been a very hot day. It was a cool 65.
Nice. I was working on my tan. It was 85 down here. It was good. It was, there was a lot of shorts and tank tops and flip flops going on down here. So it's a great week. Hey, listen, guys, if you want to get in on the conversation, use the hashtag #GetWarriorTough on the Twitter. You can find Dutch at the Dutch Coleman. I'm at WarriorToughPhD. Go to the website, GetWarriorTough.com. Find a handle and hook in. Hey, also, I want to remind everybody that the Get Warrior Tough app is still out there and on, with Dutch and I going 24/7 on the Get Warrior Tough app, the Get Warrior Tough Radio Network. You can hear all of our past shows up there. They're just rolling and rolling and rolling. You never have an excuse not to hear us, no matter what you're going through, what time of day it is, or where you are on the planet. What do you think about that, Dutch?
I love it, man. I love it. People want to know how and when and where and all those things, so we're giving them all that rolled into one.
All right, and this week I needed it because it was like I had very bad news. My wife texted me, and it was the passing of Prince, and it was a very sad day for me. Prince was he was huge back in the 80s when, I was, in high school and first in the Marine Corps. And I actually went to see Purple Rain when I was like a corporal in the Marine Corps out at K-Bay, Marine Corps Air Station, Kaneohe Bay. I remember when I went out there to saw it, and it was just, it was a very sad day for me, and I think the whole world, actually.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a consensus, man. I don't think I've talked to a single person that didn't have a story or some mention of a moment in her life where he mattered, even if it was a small moment. Everyone had something, including myself. And, I like to think I had that same impact on people that Prince had in my small world, being as cool as I was and stuff. So,
well, you did have those purple Air Jordan shoes. So.
Absolutely.
Purple Air Jordan. I didn't know that they were real or not. I thought you photoshopped those, or you stole them from like Donnie and Marie Osmond, but whatever. All right. So listen, man, I am it feels like every week I'm telling you this and I'm so cranked up, but I really am tonight cranked up, but for a good reason. Last week I was cranked up for a bad reason. Oh, by the way, did you get any hate mail for that yoga ain't exercise crack that I made last week?
No. They usually leave me alone when you say something silly.
Yeah, I told them to send all your complaints to at the Dutch Coleman. So Quack asked me about it on the show today on WCCP. He asked me about it. And I told him, yeah, it's not, and you could send all your hate mail to at the Dutch Coleman. So I don't know if you got any more blowback from that. Anyway, we digress. I really am cranked up so that was last week. This week I'm cranked up for a good reason. Man, we have a special guest tonight, Dutch, and really she's like, I know she doesn't call herself this, but I'm saying that she's a mental toughness coach, because that's really what she is. She's a mental toughness coach. She is Michelle Dutro. She's a military veteran. I won't mention what service, but anyway, she was also a firefighter and a mom, and she is totally awesome. She had me on her Game Changer podcast show earlier this week. I got to tell you, Dutch, and I got feedback from this from people were texting me and stuff that you heard the interview. No kidding, that was like the best interview, and I do a lot of radio interviews, a lot of them, and that was the best interview that I can ever remember having. It was just, she's really great at what she does, and she's magical, and she got me to say stuff that, listen to that, I'm like, I can't believe I said that stuff on the air. So she was really good at, getting me to, she people whispered me, man.
Well, I tell you what, I was very impressed from what I heard of her. I think one of the best things about her was she was in the Air Force. As you want to mention?
Well, you got to bring that up, man. She was in the Chair Force. I mean, the wait, what? I mean, the Air Force. I mean, no, she's awesome, and I'll
tell her this. My dad was a lifelong Marine, or is a Marine. He never say was a Marine. He is a Marine.
Yeah.
And when I was graduating from high school, I had a lot of options, and military service was one of them. And he told me point blank, join the Air Force. So, and I had no issues with any physicality or anything like that. He was like, man, that's just the best one. They take care of their people. He just started naming all these different things about the Air Force. So I think that's one of the best decisions you can make as a human being is to join the Air Force. So even though my dad's Marine, I'm giving a shout out to the Air Force right now for intelligence and making the right choices.
Yeah, no, and I'll tell you, because we talk about Drew going to the Citadel, right? So we went down there. We went to the Citadel, and you have to be in the ROTC. You have to be in one of them. So you walk into this room, and there's, Army ROTC, then there's Navy ROTC, and then there's the Marine contingent of Navy ROTC, and then over in the corner is the Air Force ROTC. So we walk in. There's all these knuckle draggers, really just gorilla. And then over in the corner where the Air Force is, there's really cute little lieutenant and like cadets, like Citadel cadets. They're girls over there. So we're over there. Drew makes a beeline. He's like, man, I'm in the Air Force ROTC. I'm like, roger that. They're like, yeah, when the Marine Corps ROTC has like, PT and stuff, we do barbecues on the parade deck. He's like, well, this is a no-brainer. And I'm like, all right, roger that, man, whatever. So anyway. Okay, so look, we have Michelle on the line. Her nickname is Machine Gun Chelley, right? She is totally awesome, and if I'll say this, she's like the female version of me. I mean, that's how awesome she is. So so I want to, AJ, could you bring Michelle up? Michelle, welcome to the Get Warrior Tough show. I'm so pumped to have you here.
I'm going to tell you what, I have been through some painful things in my day, but being on mute for all of that probably tops the chart.
That's why I did it. I had to get
in and go, wait. I heard girly references. I heard Donnie and Marie references, Mr. Marine Corps. And I'm fairly certain that like the whole beginning was some Top Gun like intro, which I understand Navy, but that's like an Air Force reference. So everything that you just said, by the way, I can't wait till we meet in person and we just have like a throwdown arm wrestling match. I just can't wait.
No, you'll beat me.
I can't wait.
See, this
that
is
was
why.
so painful. That was like I was timing this the most painful 3.5 minutes of my life.
I was
happy
too.
to be here.
I was watching my clock.
Gentlemen.
I was just waiting. I was just like, because I knew
Oh no!
I had to get my stuff in before you got on the air. I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, you're done. So
hey, I got your back. I got your back on the Air Force
stuff. Good. I you know what? I appreciate that more than you know. So this is good. I'm fired up to be here.
You really are awesome. I do love you because I love me. So how could I not love you? So, but so what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to flip the script, right? So I'm going to could you tell it? Now I gave the short version of your bio because I really wanted you to tell folks because I want you to connect because I know we're joking, but Dutch and I, we do have a little bit more testosterone than we probably should. So I want that, for our audience members, I want you to connect with them. So if you would just kind of tell them, what you think is important. I said the Air Force thing, not really, but the firefighter thing was really big for me, and that you're a mom, and the Air Force is important. I was just joking about that, but you and I, we've discovered that we have almost like very similar tracks, like we actually were separated at birth or something.
Yeah, and I want to echo what you said. I received a lot of comments on my show as well that you were just on Monday, by the way, for those folks that want to jump over to the Game Changer podcast. And I do consider you a game changer. And I'll tell you this about that. It is the first podcast that I have ever done and a long time since I've been in a conversation that has made me literally lose sleep and step back and reflect on, okay, where can I fine-tune what I'm doing? Truly just based on the conversation that we had.
Wow.
And we are. We're kind of lockstep on our background, but even more so we're lockstep on our mindset, right?
Yeah,
and train like you fight and fight like you train, and whatever you're going to go after, you better prepare for it, and that your preparation better not be in the thick of it. You better have already done your prep work, so when that comes down to whatever that is, whether that's a super important meeting or a super important conversation, whatever that may be, you already better have done all the prep work, all the planning, all the mental preparation you needed to do upstream of that before that thing hits. And we share in that same mindset. And so truly, I said this in my blog, the most favorite podcast I have ever done for 100 different reasons. So wow. honored to be here and thrilled to talk with you again.
Yeah,
really.
and I'm getting goosebumps like you're telling me about, prep time. I mean, Dutch, is she not like saying the same stuff we say, man? It's not like we got together. I mean, we just bumped into each other on the planet like a week and a half ago.
Absolutely. I always say, if you plan to do anything, you better plan to do it. And a lot of people, they just jump into things and it's hardly ever successful. But, they always say you can't win them all. You can't have it all. I always say you can if you plan to have it all. That's us.
That's right.
All right.
Right.
So
That's
tell
exactly
us
right.
a little more about you, because you were 20.
And so the firefighter thing. Let me just throw this down because you referenced. Hey, I understand you were giving the sliding aside to the Air Force thing and trying to get some kind of decent reference to the firefighters. But I will say this about that. And it's the same thing, right? You were a past cop, and so we're always there to help save you, right? When you get yourselves into trouble,
always.
No different than the Air Force.
Oh,
that's right.
No, I gave you. Listen, in all fairness, Michelle, I did give you props on your podcast. I did, and I do. I love the Air Force.
You did. No, massively, you did, and I'm done. Maybe.
But, you can still give it. It's okay. It's a sibling rivalry. So,
it is.
Yeah.
It is. I hope it doesn't end. But in the fire department, right, it's the same thing. It's here's the deal. The second your emergency becomes my emergency, I can no longer be of help, right? I can no longer be of service. And I think the thing we've got to avoid, which is the reason I left the fire department, and, I think it's pretty rare for anyone to leave the fire service. Usually you're in for 20, 30 years, till you retire. So it's unusual that somebody would leave on their own volition.
Right.
And I did because I wanted to jump the fence, like we talked about in my podcast, of being in prevention, right? Preventing you from calling 911. And even more than just preventing you from having some kind of medical or whatever kind of crisis, is saying, hey, how can we get to the point that life in any aspect is never an emergency, is never a crisis? And that really is that upfront planning, so that no matter what you walk into not only with confidence, but with grace. And that's doable, but that takes that upward planning. And so that's been my mission. It always has been, and certainly for the last probably 13, 15 years, my sole focus.
Right, and I love this, and that's why I call you a mental toughness coach. I know you don't call yourself that, but maybe you should start, but that's what you really are, and that's what defining that the whole thing is being under complete control, especially under pressure. That's what you're talking about, and I love that philosophy. I've never took, and not just as a cop, but I did a lot of dignitary protection, executive protection, diplomatic security. Never took a protectee into anywhere that I didn't already have a way out. Never take them in anywhere that I already didn't know how I was going to get them out.
30 seconds.
And I run my entire life like that, so it is possible. Listen, guys, we're up on a break. Michelle, you're going to be with us the whole hour, right? You're blocked off with us for the whole hour?
I'm here.
Awesome. All right, we'll be right back. You're listening to the Get Warrior Tough radio show with Dutch Coleman, Andrew Whitman, and our special guest, Machine Gun Chelley, Michelle Dutro.